So I think it's time. So welcome to our webinar concerning enteric health in pigs. My name is Rosa Castellano. I'm Monogastric product manager at Vilofoss France. I will give the presentation today. I have a background in animal nutrition. I performed my PhD in nutritional requirements on Iberian pigs in Spain, and I had worked on swine nutrition after more than 10 years. So it is possible for sure during the webinar to ask a question in the chat. We will follow up answers after the presentation. The session will be recorded. We send to you afterwards together with the presentation. So let's go. We start with the agenda from this enteric health in pigs webinar, feeding to avoid or to minimize the use of antibiotic and zinc oxide. We are going to start with the health definition. Also, we can understand why the impact of weaning on this gut health, and the solution to improve the gut health at weaning before and after the ban of this antibiotic and zinc oxide, and for sure the effects on microbiota. What is the best feed to improve this gut health without antibiotic or zinc oxide? And some conclusion of take-home message at the end for sure. Just a fast introduction why enteric health is important in piglets, in pigs production, sorry. Even with the progress that has been observed in modern pig fangs during last decades to prevent this infection disease and to improve the global animal health, we can see that enteric disease remains a problem that causes significant economical losses and production. It's for that actually more than ever we have to maintain or also increase this profitability of the livestock production and reduce as possible the economic losses. How we can do that? So we can't reduce the mortality. We know that we lost a lot of animals with the area. Also, the area problem that happened until the death. Increase the homogeneity of the production with a stable production. Decrease the number of days to arrive to slaughter weight, for sure, to increase this feed efficiency of the pigs. So, but it's very important also decrease the cost of the enteric disease in order to improve these performances. We need the highest possible level of animal welfare also accepted by the society because, as we know, we have to decrease especially the antibiotics, like a societal problem, environmental problem, to improve this acceptation and reduce the footprint. But that is really important in good health. If we look at this graph, we can see that the last 22 years, from 2000 to 2022, we have an exponential increase on the gut health literature. We can see more than 700 results for this subject. But if we focus us on gut health in weaning piglets, we can see also an important increase, an exponential increase in this research work, around 250 publications only for weaning, less than 10 years if we take the end of the graph. So that shows us that it's an important demand to decrease the use of antibiotics, to decrease the use of another product, and to understand what's happened in gut health to improve the performances. So in this graph, we can see why it's important, because we can see the correlation between body weight for the different periods of production in pig production and the final market body weight. We can see an important correlation and very strong correlation at weaning that show us that is an opportunity to implement a strategy to increase this body weight at the end of the production, at the slaughter. So one action on this part of the production and these phases of production can improve the production of pigs. But if we start with subject, gut health, what is gut health? The definition of gut health, we can see that it's a stationary state where the microbiome and the intestinal tract exist with symbiotic equilibrium, and where the animal's welfare and the performances are not limited by intestinal dysfunction. That is very important. We need a system with no limitation in the intestinal function. Gut health covers a multi aspect of this gastrointestinal tract, for sure. The first one is the effective digestion and absorption of the feed. We need to improve the digestion and for sure decrease the waste excretion of these nutrients. We have a system that needs a stable intestinal microbiota, very important to improve the growth of these animals. An effective, a normal, stable barrier function in order to decrease the depression of different infectious pathogens and to have a very effective immune status. If we have that, for sure the animals have a very perfect welfare and they can use very well the diet in order to grow. Also, it's very important the resist of this disease, as we said, but for sure decrease the activation of stress. Sometimes we forget that, but with a very stressful system, we have a lot of utilization of energy to decrease the stress, to detoxify, sorry, the different Rosa production, and that is very important also to keep in mind to decrease to have a minimal activation of stress in this period of the weaning. As we know, after weaning, 3-4 weeks of age, piglets have no choice other than adapt to a solid and dry diet that is less digestible and less palatable compared with the maternal food with a very good quality and with optimal condition. So we have also different stress, like how we say the vegetal feed, the stress, the sanitary condition, for sure the immunological gap, and an immature digestive tract. So for that, when it happened, this stress happened, nutritional stress, physiological stress, or also environmental stress, we decrease the feed intake. We have a lack of maternal nutrition with important impact in the gut morphology, and for sure in reduction in the capacity to absorb the nutrients, and also in decrease on the capacity to digest these nutrients. So if we decrease the nutrient, we decrease also for sure the barrier function, and we reduce the capacity to the animals to respond to pathogenic bacteria. We have for sure the problem like diarrhea. So it's very important to the animal to have a very good system to respond to the stress at the weaning. But also we know very well that during lactation we have a low production of acid, so piglets use during lactation the lactose and transformed to lactic acid by the bacterial fermentation. They can control the pH with this production of lactic acid. By the way, when piglets to growth, they change the diet, and for sure they don't have the capacity to produce this acid. We need a pH around 3.5 in order to have a very good activation of pepsin, a different enzyme, to digest the feed. So it's very important to increase this HCl production, but we have to improve the number of intake of the solid feed. That is quite complicated. For sure, the creep feed consumption is low and variable. Even at weaning, this consumption is more and more variable. So we have to improve this feed intake in order to improve also the capacity to produce acid in the stomach. For sure, we have a problem with acid production, but at weaning we have also to manage with the lack of immunity that's happened just at the same moment that happened the stress, the condition, different condition, the important pressure, sanitary pressure. So this animal have to improve the response when just decrease the passivity immunity, and they don't have time to respond with an active immunity. So that is very important also to keep in mind, to work to help animals to respond correctly during this gap of immunity. Also, we can see that modification on this intestinal mucin happen also at the moment of weaning. We know very well that decrease the mitosis and the production, the turnover of the cells is completely different, and increase the apostosis for sure, because we have a change of the feed, the composition, also the stress, all the different events that happen at weaning increase this mitosis, this apostosis and the turnover on the cells. Microbiota is fundamental also in this development of the mucosal epithelium, and to enhance also the barrier property of this good health, intestinal good health. So what's happened this apostosis, how they can induce this apostosis, the microbiome of the bacteria. It's happening why? Because they produce toxic metabolites, and also because we have an induction of inflammation. Very important that increase this damage of the cells. So it's for that we have to preserve the integrity of this epithelial barrier, and also work together with the microbiota to have a homogeneous homeostasis in the intestinal gut. Also, we know that the pig intestine are sterilized at birth, and during lactation, the microbiota from the mother environment take place. For sure, they are very variable during the age, but also at the moment that we have the weaning, microbiota has no time to be stable and to have a very good alpha diversity of this microbiota. So that's very related with the diarrhea, because we have a change of this microbiota and we don't have the necessary variability that later stay stable until the adult life of the pigs. So that is very important also to increase this alpha diversity during the weaning in order to support this gut health of the pigs. If we summarize, we know very well that at the birth, piglets have a very digestible and easy palatable diet, so milk. So the different microbiota are very well stable, with a very with an epithelial tissue very well done. So what happened later with the weaning, we've reduced the feed intake because we changed the diet with a very aggressive diet. We have a stress with the environmental stress, so that happened modification in the layer of the epithelium. For sure, increase the impermeability because we decrease the nutrient and the cell can't stay with a very good thin junction, so increase the infection, and for sure the macrophage start the inflammation. For sure, if we have also in the antibiotics in the feeds, we are going to increase this response, and for sure we are going to lose this bacteria diversity. that is also going to perturb the mucous layer and the response of the animals. And for sure, we start with a problem more important, that is the diarrhea, and we have to use antibiotic treatment to control this problem. So that is the acute phase after weaning, that we need to move faster to the other phase, to the maturation phase, that in this phase we want to increase the feed intake, the nutrient digestion, and the fermentation capacity in order to have a very good microbiota in the gastrointestinal tract, and also recovering the functional activity. For sure, we use not now is finished, zinc oxide or other like antibiotics to control and to move faster to the maturation phase, but not always a good solution, because we're talking about bacterial diversity and microbiota and the importance of this system, a very well balanced system for the good health. And we're talk about zinc is essential for sure for mucous integrity to modulate the immune response for sure, but we know very well that during decades we use like an alternative to antibiotic growth promoters, and we have a lot of problems with bacterial resistances. But also, if we look new results, we can see that the use of high dose of zinc oxide also have an important impact on microbiota, but a negative impact, because they are going to decrease the alpha variability. We are going to decrease the lactobacillus, for example. So it's for that the use of high dose of zinc oxide is not a very good idea, because we are going to modulate a negative microbiota for the piglets. But also the use of antibiotics, for sure we need antibiotics to control fast this phenomenon that's happening at weaning. But we can see for sure that increase the use of antimicrobial products also produce or increase in susceptibility to infection, because we are going to reduce again this diversity. We have a strong shift of microbiota composition. We are going to disrupt completely this system of microbiota. For sure, we are going to accumulate this resistance to antibiotics that stay the long of the life of the pigs, with another problem like metabolic disruption or for sure weakening the immune system. So yes, for sure we have a solution that is antimicrobial product, but we can see that negative impact on this host health. So reduction of antibiotic and zinc oxide is important to do it, because we are going to improve the health for sure. But also we have another solution, most important than use that for me is a point case, the management of a different system. For sure, the pre-weaning feed intake. If we increase this pre-weaning intake, animal will be able later at weaning to eat faster, to be prepared to new feed. That is very important. For sure, the climate control, the temperature. For sure, prepare before arrive the piglets to the new environmental place. So that is very important to have a very good temperature, no cold, no hot, the humidity, everything controlled before the arrival of the new piglets. For sure, the external and internal biosecurity, the batch management, the feeding strategy. For sure, water supply, and important the quality of this water supply. All these elements are very important, but if we talk about gut health and microbiota, we have to focus on cleaning and disinfection, because we have to validate the quality of the environment and reduce for sure the pressure at that moment. We have to reduce all the different virus, bacteria, in order to have and to optimize the environment of the piglets. For sure, we have also to work with the feed composition. in order to give the best balanced feed for the pigs. So let's start with the management, but now the management of the feed and how we can do the best feed to improve the gut health without antibiotic, without synoxide, in order to improve the gut health. For sure, animals need protein to grow, and we know very well the different function of protein. But with the change of feed, like I said before, milk diet to a vegetable protein source in the new diet for piglets, we found a lot of anti-nutritional factors. So for sure, soya bean means other different products that they are going to have a negative effect on mucosal epithelium, also for sure in the digestion of enzyme. That is for that we need to look, pay attention at this anti-nutritional factor and decrease this quantity of vegetable protein, aggressive protein, if we can say it like that, in order to improve the gut health. But if we look at the high protein diet that usually we use in formulation, we can found why we have a problem. So because if we use a high protein level diet, we increase the pH. So if we increase this pH, because high protein diet sources have a very high ABC4 value, acid binding capacity value, so we increase the pH and we are going to inactivate the capacity of the different enzymes to digest the feed. So if we decrease this capacity to digest, we are going to have more undigested substrate for pathogenic bacteria than the K profilate, the profilation. We have more pathogenic bacteria. So we have for sure a decrease these nutrients, so a decrease on the function of the immune system for sure, and decrease on the capacity, the variable function of the villus at the crypt ratio. So we decrease the capacity to protect the intestine from the bacteria. We have an invasion of this bacteria and induce this diarrhea. So it's for that it's important to reduce this protein in order to decrease the pH of the stomach. So we can reduce the excess or this crude protein, and for sure, if we look at this graph, we have a high level of protein. In order to have a correct level of the different amino acids, essential and non-essential amino acids, for sure we have the perfect ratio of all the different amino acids, but we can see an excess or of different free amino acids that they can be used for the different bacteria, pathogenic bacteria. It's for that if we can, for sure, if not compromise the performance and the cost for our production, we can decrease the good protein, have the same ratio between the different amino acids, have the concept of protein, ideal protein concept perfect, but we can see that we can decrease these amino acids, free amino acids, in order to give the substrate to the bacteria. In this study, for sure, we can see also that if we decrease the protein, very low content of protein, we decrease this incidence of diarrhea. For sure, we can see that the first stage of phase, we decrease also the performance, but animals are able at the end of the period to have the similar performance, but with the half of diarrhea incidence. So for sure, we can decrease a little bit the performances at the beginning of the test, but later animals are able to respond because they have a very good health, intestinal health, that they can improve this digestibility and arrive to a good performances at the end. But if we decrease this this protein content protein, we also decrease the ammonia nitrogen that we are going to to produce. So that is interesting in order to decrease the excretion to the environmental place. So we decrease the nitrogen. And we talked about before the necessity to decrease the footprint. So it's for that if we can reduce this crude protein with replacing soybean meal with cereal and feed grade amino acids is good for the good health and intestinal health, but also is interesting because we can reduce the animal nitrogen excretion, and we can reduce for sure the production of CO2 and decrease the footprint of animal nutrition production. So we talk about protein, but we have also milk product, because we know very well that lactose plays a crucial role in the growth and the performances for piglets, because it's palatable and easy to digest, and also apports a very digestible energy source that is easy to give the transition for the piglet from solid feed to a solid feed, sorry. But by the way, also with the age, piglets are going to decrease the activity of lactose enzymes. So we have to take care, and we use milk product. If we use milk product with an excessive level, we can find an over-fermentation in the intestinal tract, and we can produce diarrhea incidence. We can improve this diarrhea incidence because this lactose, they are going to be over-fermented. If we have a sufficient level of lactose, so for piglets not very high yet, so this piglet with a high level of lactose can use like a source of energy and also source of feed, palatable feed that increase the performances. That is perfect for younger piglets. But if we have a normal piglet, a little bit more aged piglets, for me it is better to work with an optimal level, because maybe we have not too much lactase activity, so we can use this milk product like a probiotic effect. It means lactic acid fermentation that we are going to use by the bacteria to produce volatile fatty acid and help the good health in order to have better growth performances. So that is very important to keep in mind the level of this milk product during the weaning. For sure, it's also important to use fiber diets, carbohydrate management during the weaning, because these fiber are going to help intestinal health, because increase the speed of this peristalsis, so the feed stayed less time available for bacteria to ferment this undigestible feed. So we help the intestinal health and the integrity of the barrier function. That is important because we are going to inhibit the pathogenic bacteria. And we can have an effect like probiotic. So it's important to include sources with no soluble starch polysaccharide, like lignocellulose, and use for sure different exon enzymes like silanase and glucanase in order to increase this availability of the different short chain oligosaccharides. If we talk about fatty acid, for sure, energy sources, so we have to take care and minimize the ratio between N6 and N3 PUFA, and for sure take care about the oxidation of the fats, because we can increase the oxidation of the feed and you have to defend take more energy to defend, to improve all the different systems to detoxify these free radicals. Also, we have to consider to use short and medium chain triglycerides, fatty acid, in order to help this gut health. we know that the short chain fatty acid increase the intestinal cell metabolites. We can also decrease the pH of the intestinal tract, increase the enzymatic activity, so we can increase the digestibility and the intestinal absorption and help this intestinal health. And we can decrease for sure the bacteria, the pathogenic bacteria, and inhibit the diarrhea. It's for that this product, this fatty acid, have an effect also at the level of probiotics, and we can improve all the different performances of the pig thanks to improve the good health. We talk about fibers, milk, fatty acid and related to pro and prebiotics, but we have also for sure pro and probiotics. Probiotic like live organism that we can use to improve, to give benefits to the animals. The prebiotics like non-digestible ingredients, and also for sure they are going to stimulate the beneficial microbiota in the gastrointestinal tract. So pro and prebiotics can modulate the piglet's gut microbiota, as we saw before. For sure, they can protect against pathogenic bacteria. They can increase the intestinal barrier function, very important during this period, and modulate the immunity. For sure, we can improve the digestibility thanks to this pro and prebiotic, and increase the growth and the feed conversion ratio, and improve at the end the productive the system of production for piglets. Also, it's very important that we use organic acid, because we say before, animals at weaning are not be able to decrease the stomach pH. So with this organic acid, we can control this pH for sure, and we can support the gut health and modulate also for sure the microbiological population. These highly energetic products we can use have high digestibility. For sure, we can, we say, help us with the acidification capacity of the piglets. Stimulate, for sure, if we decrease the pH, we can increase the activity of different enzymes like pepsin. And we have a strong power, antimicrobial power. So that's very important during the weaning. We usually work with blend of different acids, organic acids like formic, butyric, acetic. So it's much better work with blends in order to have a very huge range of action between action fast to different pathogenic, gram-negative, gram-positive, and other. So if we look, we continue to talk about pH and the capacity to reduce this buffering pH, effect pH of the stomach. That is very important because we have to formulate our diet with less mineral like limestone, because they have high ABC4 value, high capacity to buffering the pH of stomach. Also, for sure, ZnO have a strong capacity to reduce to cap the acid of the stomach. For that, the decreased ZnO is also important to decrease this capacity to buffering. Sodium bicarbonate, limestone, but for sure, soybean meal protein that we see before have a very important effect, increase this pH of the stomach. So it's for that we have to control and reduce the calcium levels to reduce this buffering capacity in the stomach, and increase the activity of the endogenous enzyme like pepsin, or external enzyme like phytase enzyme. Why? Because we can see in this graph that the pH of the stomach content, we want to have a pH around 3.5. If we increase the ABC4 around 300, 350, we found a high pH content of the stomach. So for that, we have to work with a low ABC4 around 200, 250 in order to have a pH around 3.5. Because if we have a pH low that 3, we can decrease the development of this enteric bacteria, negative bacteria in the gut health. So that is important to decrease the development of the bacteria. For sure, we have interaction between minerals, calcium and phosphorus. So if we increase the quantity of calcium, also increase the buffering capacity, but we can block the different minerals like phosphates. So if we use phytase, for sure, we have to be sure that we don't have negative interaction with the different minerals. And optimize the level of zinc, cuivre, and manganese, also to have a normal function for the immune system. And for sure, it's important to take a look also at the electrolyte balance in the diet, because we can produce osmotic diarrhea if we don't have, we don't control the different balance of the different ions like sodium, potassium, chloride. For sure, that is important also in order to decrease the diarrhea, don't induce this osmotic diarrhea. For that, even if we use co-product, be careful with this balance, and we have to check and decrease this problem of diarrhea. About minerals for sure, but now vitamin, we have to manage also vitamin. It's very important, for example, the apport of a good level of folic acid, because we know animals and weaning have to improve the growth, but the growth of the intestinal tissue, so we need a lot of folic acid in order to have a very good development of this tissue. Also, we have to supplement it with vitamin E and vitamin C for sure, another antioxidant. And this another antioxidant can be apported by phytogenic, because they have a very strong capacity, antioxidant capacity. And for sure, the use of essential oils is important because we have a very strong antimicrobial effects. So that's very important. For sure, we have to pay attention because we have a lot of different products, natural products, phytogenic products that we have to check before to use, compare, validate these products, the effects on the intestinal health. So some conclusion, because time is a little out. Conclusion and take-home message. For sure, the first level is the front management with a high management level. That is essential. For sure, control the biosecurity and the sanitary condition in the system. And to create the fruit formulation, a very good balanced formulation in order to improve the good health. Like said before, the protein level, high digestible protein levels, very good balance on amino acid, and for sure decrease the aggressive sources of protein and vegetal protein. A very good fiber balance with high fiber content and digestible fiber, a high quality of milk product, and the good level of this product with correlate with the age of the animals. The organic acid combination in order to decrease the pH in the stomach, gastrointestinal tract, and also to apport the energy. The use of enzyme in order to increase the protein digestibility or for sure phosphate digestibility, and the high vitamin levels to respond to the stress, the antioxidant response. For sure, the selected trace minerals sources. If we do everything like that and we can improve the gut health of the animal, for sure we can reduce the antibiotic, we can ban the zinc oxide, and for sure we are able to reduce the footprint or feed on animal nutrition. We can adapt, we have to adapt the feed to the actual context, to the biological context, to the societal changes that we have actually in our work every day. So it's all for me. If you have a question, please don't hesitate. I'm going to answer the question.
Thank you very much, Rosa. Until now, we have no questions. We can wait some minutes maybe.
Okay.
But otherwise, it seems to be clear, everything you explained.
So very fast, I think, because we have a lot of things to say. Only 45 minutes. Very fast, but...
there came a question here. How would you recommend to improve the gut barrier in the piglet?
Sorry, I can. Can you repeat, please?
Yeah. How would you recommend to improve the gut barrier in the piglet?
The gut barrier. So the gut barrier we have to improve gut barrier is a huge question, because we have to improve the whole system. Gut barrier we have to improve with different amino acids for sure, but it's a complicated question, because gut barrier is the whole system of gut health. You need to improve the microbiota, you need to improve the absorption. If you improve the absorption of the different nutrients, for sure your barrier are perfect. You have to decrease for sure the stress, the free radicals, in order to have a very good digestion. So for that, for me, it's a holistic approach, because it's the most important for sure, but you have a lot of effects on all the different parts of the feed, for example, in order to improve this gut barrier. So a good feed, very completed with amino acids, with minerals, antioxidants for sure, in order to give all the needs to the cells. So it's the most complicated at the point of view of nutrition. But for sure, if we have a very good balance feed, we can improve this gut barrier.
Mm-hmm. There were no further questions. So thank you very much, Rosa, for a very interesting webinar. It's a really relevant topic at the moment.
Thank you. Thank you, Vilofoss. We'll see you after summer for more webinars, more interesting subjects. So thank you.